Hey guys, Sundown Rider here. This is going to be my chapter review to One Piece 920, I Love Odin. This is going to be a no script boys kind of chapter. I had zero time to write a script, but I did enjoy the chapter, so we're going to go straight through it. It's going to probably be a long review because of the lack of a script and conciseness, but I'll try and get it done as fast as possible. So the cover story is it's Zoro and Sanji on deck, and Sanji's bleeding from his nose, and Zoro's they've kind of bruised up and stuff. So they both had a fight, and they've knocked each other out by the looks of things. And they're kind of dreaming that the other beat the other. So one of them beat the other in a fight, and they get what they want. So Zoro's admiration from his crewmates, and Sanji's a hug from Nami, and I thought that was pretty funny. Anyway, we go back to the ruins of Odin Castle, and we have Kinemon now telling the Straw Hats and Kara and everyone the kind of history of what's gone down, and he's just recalling the past essentially. So he tells them that this was Odin's. These are the ruins of Odin Castle, and the people of Kuri called the castle Kuri Castle because the residents of this place, Kuri, loved Odin. They really loved the guy, and they liked what he did and what he stood for. So they refer to the castle kind of lovingly as Kuri Castle. And then we have Kinemon literally just going on a tirade of just telling the Straw Hats about Odin. So we find out that Odin was kind of like a very wild guy, despite being the son of the Wano country shogun, whose name was Kozuki Sukiyaki. Sukiyaki is another type of food, by the way. Odin is a type of food. We find out that the Akazaya, I think, is the nine red scabbards, which Kinemon, you assume, is a part of. That's a type of food as well, like a red bean paste type thing. So it's one of those things where all the Kozuki clan seem to have food-based names or anything like that, or something like that. So Odin is this really eccentric type of character, and eccentric contractions and eccentric, it's one of those things. So he was a really eccentric kind of guy. He was always getting in fights despite being the son of the shogun, and he was so violent that he eventually got exiled from the flower capital, and he kind of just eventually drifted to this lawless area where there were like cutthroats, criminals, ronin, and all that stuff. And they just all gathered there, and they formed groups to rob and kill, and each day they were just killing each other, killing other people and stuff like that. So it's a hideous place, and that's where this guy, the son of the shogun, decides, that's where I'm gonna go. That's where he rolled up, and it turns out that place was Kuri. So this is the young Lord Odin, Lord Odin before he was 20 at this point, and he goes there and he picks a fight with the strongest guy there. His name is Ashura Doji, and he's considered the most dangerous guy there. He looks a bit like, I don't know, like his kind of figure, his silhouette kind of looks big mummy, but and there's no way we're given a name for this guy Ashura Doji. We're given this backstory that he was kind of like the strongest in Kuri before Odin came and kicked his ass. There's no way he's not going to come back in the story. I hope we get to see Ashura Doji again, and maybe he's going to be on Kaido's side or something like that, I think. Pardon me. So shortly afterwards, what Odin did was he rounded up everyone in Kuri, all these criminals, all these cutthroats, all these ronin, and he kind of forced them to to learn how to work in terms of how the jobs that a village would need, a small city would need. And while everyone was busy with construction, after he taught them, busy with construction, digging, making houses, carpentry, all that stuff, getting water, farming and all that stuff, he built a paradise farm for the sake of everyone in this new place, in this Kuri that he'd created. And he created a free and lively village where everyone was happy and stuff like that. And apparently the shogun heard of this, and he was so surprised. He was like, all right, I'm gonna grant my son the title of daimyo of Kuri. So he became the daimyo of Kuri at the age of 20, and it was a huge achievement and everything like that. And you can see Kinemon, he's very proud of his Lord Odin. He's just like he became daimyo at age 20. What a guy. So we're then told that he created rivers and wharfs, and he connected people and all that stuff. But the one thing that Odin had a habit of saying was, it's too cramped here. And it comes back to that idea of, we're going to open the borders. Wano shouldn't just be Wano. We need to stop being isolationist. It's too cramped. Life is too short. Life is too cramped to be in one place for too long. So Odin, even back then, was saying that Wano is too cramped to stay like this. So then we change scenes. We're back at this. It's kind of, I'm not sure where it is in relation to the factories of the flower capital, but Zoro is somewhere near there, and he's next to a bridge, like an arcing bridge. There's a tiger next to him that he must have taken out, and he's just like he's wondering where everyone else wandered off to, and he's like, how did they get lost? We were back on the Komainu, and I'm just like, you got lost, Zoro, come on, man. So he sees this wharf, which essentially looks like a boat of some sort, something on a riverside. It might even be a riverside house or something like that. So, but he says that he should catch a ride. So I think it's like this boat kind of thing with like houses on top. I don't know. I don't actually know what a wharf is. And so then we go to this beach somewhere near Kuri, or somewhere in Kuri, and he's on some certain beach, and we have Inuarashi has arrived in Wano. He's literally just touched down at the beach, and he's reminiscing too on what Oden was saying about how Wano was too cramped, and he remembers back to the days when he himself, Inuarashi, and Nekomamushi, the talking cat and talking dog, which is what they were referred to as by the people in Wano, how they arrived at Wano and everyone was basically like afraid of them because they were able to talk. Minks hadn't probably not. Minks are also kind of like another isolationist tribe because they're on the back of Zo. So when they were seen by the samurai and stuff like that, they were obviously ostracized. But it was Oden who told everyone, he was like, you should be ashamed just because they look different, and you're treating them differently. It highlights your ignorance and stuff like that. So we see them as kids, Inuarashi and Nekomamushi, and they look kind of cute, but it's quite cool to see like such such a warrior-like clan when they were kids, essentially. So you have Inuarashi crying, remembering how Oden was and how his character. He was a hero and he was brave and everything like that, and he loved having him as his lord. So it seems like Oden was loved by a lot of people. Very, very kind of like, he seems to have a very Luffy type character. He was always a very violent, I suppose, kind of guy, and he matured in a lawless environment and stuff like that, and he became kind of king of that lawless environment, and then he earned a title to own that environment. So apparently Oden charmed Whitebeard, Roger, and even the samurai of the Wano country, and he even mesmerized the leaders of the Mink, the future leaders of the Mink, which would be Inuarashi and Nekomamushi. So and then we have Kinemon telling the Straw Hats and everything what exactly went down, but we don't hear what he's saying. It's kind of like it's just passage of time, and then we come to a point where Sanji looks pissed, Luffy looks pissed, and Nami's just like, what? How could this have happened? That's so cruel. So I assume something big must have gone down, but essentially we're told that the result of whatever went down was that Oden was taken to the flower capital and executed as a criminal. So it's another one of those Roger-esque type of deaths where he was taken in and executed as a criminal. And technically, if he was associated with Roger, technically he would have been a criminal, technically. But, it's the same thing as like, we didn't view Roger as a criminal and we don't view Oden as a criminal, especially seeing as he was the shogun of the country. So yeah, and like Kinemon says, all of this happened 20 years ago, but it's only been a few months for Kinemon, Kanjuro, Raizo, Kiku, and Momonosuke, because they've arrived in the future, and then they were all separated, went to punk house and stuff like that. And he actually goes through this, but Kozuki Oden's final moments, he doesn't actually explain exactly what went down. So I was hoping Kinemon would be like, yeah, this is what he said, this is what happened, but I can't remember exactly what happened here. So this is where Kinemon tells them of how just before, as Oden was getting executed, Kinemon and their group of 5 kind of dashed away back to Oden's castle, or Kuri castle. And on the way there, Nekomamushi and Inuarashi started to argue, and then they were caught by Orochi's subordinates, and so they were assumed dead. But Kinemon couldn't let Momonosuke's life be taken next, so he continued to go to Kuri castle. However, Kaido had anticipated this exact move, and the castle was set ablaze. So Kanjuro, Kinemon, Kiku, Raizo, and Momonosuke were actually not in Kuri castle while it was on fire. They were fine, but Kaido had burnt it down anyway, so it was on fire. And Momonosuke was in the castle, sorry. But Momonosuke was in the castle alongside his younger sister, Lady Hiyori. Now, Hiyori, Lady Hiyori, like the fact that Momonosuke has a younger sister and we've been introduced to this young girl who wants to be a ninja called Tama, and she's being guarded by an old man, an old Tengu guy who says that she's important. She's already been shown to be important in the story with her Kibidango and stuff like that. And then we have the story of Momotaro. I think it is. If you actually go to the end of the Japanese box translation, it tells you about the story of Momotaro. But he took control of these animals he went on like a journey with. I think it was a dog, a pheasant, and a monkey, using these kibidangos. So that's kind of like another thing. And he fights against the demon. He fights against. I've forgotten what the word is, but yeah, he fights against the demon, which is what Kaido kind of represents. This is all the story of Momotaro essentially, but it's Momonosuke and in the guise of One Piece. So we have Kinemon who goes inside the castle while it's ablaze, and he's there, and we see another silhouetted form of Lady Kozuki Toki, who is what's his name, Momonosuke's mother. So her name is Toki. Now, this is a weird one because Kinemon mentions here that this may sound hard to believe, but there were always rumors that Lady Toki was born sometime in the distant past. So she has been using her fruit to travel into the future, and she actually states this. So what she says is, it's impossible for people to travel into the past. So her fruit, which she defines as the time ability, so the Toki ability, her name is Kozuki Toki. I'm not sure if it's pronounced Toki or Toki. I think it might just be Toki. So apparently she can't travel into the past. And I just want to make absolute sure here, we see Lady Hiyori as well. But her face has been silhouetted as well, so I think she's got to be Tama. I mean, Tama has got to be Momonosuke's younger sister. There's no other explanation for it. The only weird thing is that, let me just adjust my mic, that her name is Tama and not Hiyori. I mean, like, surely she'd remember her name, but maybe that's something that she's been told to conceal. But as a child, you wouldn't expect her to be so good at concealing her own name. So apparently, Lady Toki, Kozuki Toki, so the shogun's wife, she's been traveling she had been traveling into the future using her devil fruit, and she'd been traveling further and further into the future. So we don't know actually what time she was from, but she'd finally arrived somewhere and where she believed it was the terminus of her journey here with Lord Odin 20 years ago. So she basically is happy to die at Kuri Castle. It seems, at least. We're not too sure if she's actually dead, but it looked like she'd kind of summoned up the will to die at Kuri Castle alongside her husband, because her husband had been executed, and she felt that this was her time to die. So Kinemon, through his tears, is just like, if traveling into the future is possible, then we're going to fulfill Lord Odin's wishes, and we're going to take down Orochi and Kaido, and we're going to open up this country's borders. So then we see this kind of thud sound effect, and she tells Kinemon, I'm going to leave Momonosuke in your care. So they're transported straight into the future. I'm like 12 minutes into this, and I'm only on page 10. This is hard. This is horrible. So yeah, Kinemon and everyone had then been transported into the future, and they're shook because the first thing they see are the graves of Kozuki Odin, his wife, Momonosuke, and all his retainers, even though technically Kinemon and everyone is still alive. And they see the Wano that they're currently in, the Wano with these factories and like pillars of smoke and stuff like that, 20 years after the incident that had occurred, and it had only been moments for them at that point in time. So yeah, he actually makes mention of the fact that there were factories and all that, blowing countless streams of smoke into the air. The water was undrinkable, the food was rationed and stuff like that. The daimyo had gone, and the village had gone, and everything like that. And the Kozuki name was a scorned name. People didn't like to hear about the Kozuki, so they thought that they would be unable to find people to fight alongside them against Orochi and Kaido and I think it was Orochi and Kaido, yeah. And so they thought they wouldn't be able to find people now that they were 20 years into the future, but they were wrong. They came back, and they eventually found someone called Jibu Aemon of the Kibi. I'm not sure what Kibi is, but he's a former retainer of the shogun. So essentially they find all these former retainers of the shogun who had heard the last words of Lady Toki, and had realized that maybe, because they couldn't find the bodies of any of the 9 red scabbards, so any of the Akazaya, so that's Kinemon, Raizo, Kanjuro, probably Kiku as well. Probably Kiku as well. So And they all swear fealty straight away to Momonosuke. They're like, you know what? We've got these tattoos on our ankles. A tattoo of the moon, which is what Kozuki means if you elongate the O, so Kozuki rather than Kozuki. And I think Kozuki means red bean paste. It comes again at the end of the Japanese box translation. But Kozuki means moon or moonlight, I think. So yeah, they all swear fealty to Momonosuke straight away. They're like, you know what, you need us. If you need us, we're here and we're ready to go. So Kinemon, he was like, all right. What we did then was we entrusted Kiku with gathering intel on our enemies, and we went out to recruit some allies. So they were instantly chased down because leaving the borders of Wano is in itself a crime. So, and because none of them have any navigable kind of knowledge, they shipwrecked on their way to Zou, and this is where they parted ways with Raizo, and then they barely escaped with their lives, and they drifted to Dressrosa, and this is where they were chased by Doflamingo, and this is where Kanjuro was captured, so they parted ways with Kanjuro here, while Momonosuke boarded some weird ship and ended up on Punk Hazard, which is where Kinemon travelled after him, and Punk Hazard is where Law chopped up Kinemon and kind of diced him. And where Caesar was. So that's basically the story of how they were all separated, why Raizo was on Zou, why Kanjuro was in Dressrosa, and why Kinemon and Momonosuke were in Punk Hazard. And you have basically Kinemon saying that like it was a crisis, but I'm actually really glad this all happened, because if none of that had happened, we wouldn't have been able to meet the Heart Pirates or the Straw Hat crew. So even though everything like that went down, they're actually happy. And the other thing is he knows that they're still considered ghosts because they're considered dead, so they're still technically undercover, while Luffy maybe not so much, even though only Hawkins at this moment in time seems to know. So they're told straight away the most important part of this plan is to not be exposed. Luffy says got it. Luffy's going to mess this up again. But Kinemon tells us the plan. He's like, alright, so our current force is the Straw Hat crew and the Heart Pirates, as well as the two groups from the Mink tribe, which are the Musketeers led by Inuarashi and the Guardians led by Nekomamushi, as well as all the samurai that they've managed to recruit. And he obviously wanted a larger force, somewhere near 5,000, but he doesn't want to wage a war. So essentially what he wants to do is gather information and in secrecy take the commander's head. So that would be, it looks like first they're going for Kaido. So the plan they have commences in 2 weeks' time, and on the night of the Fire Festival, so in 2 weeks' time, they're gonna commence a raid on Onigashima, which is Onigashima is also in the story of Momotaro, and it's where the demon lives. Actually, let me just check something. So yeah, we have the whole stuff about the food. Yes, so it's where the Oni lives in the story of Momotaro is Onigashima. I was just making sure. And that's where Kaido lives as well. So that's where they're going to attack first in 2 weeks. They're going to attack the island where Kaido resides. That's going to be awesome because it's Kaido, man. Kaido of the 100 Beasts. It's going to be insane. And we see a silhouette of the island, and it's this island with like a skull and horns. It's crazy, and we know that Kaido's got horns as well. And Oda's word choice for raid here, it's a translation note, is also kind of harkening back to the story of the 47 Ronin assassination incident, which is about I think it was one of the a daimyo got another daimyo murdered or something like that, and he became daimyo of both areas, and then all the samurai of that area where he had the daimyo murdered, they became Ronin, which are masterless samurai. And I think it's a very dishonorable kind of title to have. So they all went they had to recruit each other again and meet each other again, and the 47 Ronin then went back and reclaimed this area. And then I think at the end of it, they chose to commit seppuku, and basically once they'd completed their task, they chose to die alongside the daimyo the leader who they'd failed to protect, which I think is actually punishable by seppuku. But yeah, it's a really good story, the story of the 47 Ronin, and I only actually know it through watching that movie like once, but it's a good story to check out. But this has been a 20-minute review anyway. So One Piece is on break next week. I'm going to try and get My Hero Academia done by tomorrow, or sometime tomorrow actually. So let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Sorry about the length of it. I mean, it was a long chapter. But like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in a bit.